Happy New Month, everyone. It's February. I'm recording the podcast on the 3rd of February, and it will be going live on Sunday, on the 4th of February. Now, it was just yesterday that we entered January, and it just blazed so fast. And I'm like, are you sure we really experienced the January, or we just entered into February? Like I feel like it was just last year, yesterday, and now we're in February. I had all these goals planned, that all these things I wanted to do. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, when am I going to start these things? When am I going to start them? So at the end of the day, I look around and I ask myself, what is February? It's another month. If I'm not careful, I'll continue the way I did in January, and the year will just blaze so fast, and I'll be asking myself, what did I do with the year? At the end of the day, these goals will keep moving and shuffling over and over, and they will come in to the next year. So what's going to happen? Is it this moment where you resolve and you choose to say, okay, I'm motivated, I'm inspired, this is what I'm going to do with my life? Or what? Well, the goal is to keep moving forward. The goal is progress over perfection. The goal is not just meeting lines, not just being impressive, but keep moving. That's what's most important. And it doesn't really matter what keep moving might be for you, but you just keep moving. That's it. I'm talking about writing and creative writing, reading. We have to keep moving. For me, it's a new beginning. That's all I see. I look around, it's a new beginning. I've talked about in the podcast that, oh, I'm going to be serious this time. And then I pushed, and then the next 3 to 6 months, I'm nowhere to be found. And there were a couple of persons that listen to my podcast, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be serious. He's going to be serious right now. Wow, awesome. And then I'm like, boom. And now I'm outside. It's 8:44 p.m. Of course, in the night. The moon in the sky. No, I can't really see the moon, but the sky is bright. No, I wouldn't say the sky is bright. I would say, that kind of brightness when the moon is around. Yeah, but I can't see the moon. There are a couple of stars. Just see one star. Yeah, funny. How am I even sure that this thing I'm seeing is a star, not some satellites or something up there? And I'm in a park in school compound, um, very close to the school hostel, and I'm asking myself, dude, is this how I'm going to continue living? Like, I know that it's not like I'm a genius or any other thing, but I know that with where I am in my life, in terms of writing, in terms of my art, and every other thing that I love to do, I would have been 1000x further than what it is if I just showed up and committed to doing that which I wanted to do. Now, you could be worse, but I mean 1000 times better. It doesn't mean that you'll be the best, but you'll be way, way, way better than what you are now. And I'm asking myself, and this is me thinking out loud, and I'm asking myself, what can I really do to make writing consistently something for me? What can I really do make writing consistently something for me? I'm like, what's the problem? I'm like, my life is busy. Yeah, but even when it wasn't busy, I wasn't writing. So what exactly is the problem? I know deep in me that if you love something, you will find the time for it. And that's the truth. If you love something, you find the time for it. Okay? Yeah, but I do love this. I do like this thing. So what do I do? I'm like, okay, what about you put yourself out there? You find a group of people that keep you accountable. I'm like, yeah, traditional sense of accountability. What actually motivated me to do the things that I love to do in the past? Well, one would be finding a form of accountability. And I'm like, I would be serious with the podcast, the blog, and the email. And you're like, how does that factor in accountability? Well, simple. In talking about the blog, the podcast, and the email, talking about creative writing, I am documenting my life journey. And there will be nothing to document if I do not write. Yeah, there will be nothing. And that's part of the reason why I've not been consistent. That's part of the reason why I've not been showing up. That's part of the reason why uh, I stop, I continue, I stop, I continue, I stop, I continue. And now I have made it really simple. Stripped out every other thing that's out of the way and make it clear what I am really doing. I'm a friend who's speaking to you, talking to you. You listen to him. Sometimes he's struggling. Sometimes he progresses. Sometimes he's celebrating a win. But he shows up. And not that friend who has figured it out, no. But more of that friend who we both know ourselves that we are struggling. And he's like, oh, dude, I tried this technique last week and it worked, man. You should try it. And you're like, are you really sure? Yeah, yeah, it worked. I'm really sure. And you tried and like, wow, that thing was awesome. How come? How did you find that technique? And this is not a matter of, oh, he's sharing your technique because he wants you to buy one of the things, or he really has nothing. Yeah, he's a genuine friend. He's not an influencer friend. He doesn't have any of those things. He's just your normal neighbor friend who gives you a recommendation. He has no strings attached to any of those things. So ultimately, I've noticed that a system, a habit, is what is important this year. A system is what is important this year. And when I mean a system, I mean the whole idea of creating a time block of time for writing. Now it's simple. That time block of writing, I might not write up every day, but that time block of writing is sacred. I show up, I sit down, and I stare at the blank page long enough, and when it's time, I move on. Now, if I do that long enough, I'll suddenly begin to write. But it's just the time slot that is important, that I have to show up, I have to slot into my time so I can create, I can make things. And I'm looking around and I'm asking myself, um, what would I have become? What would I have become? Now, I can't really know, but I know it would have been better than this. Way, way better. I know that it's selfish for me not to show up. And so the first thing I told myself is I am not an expert and I never said I am. Okay? So you're not an expert, you guys figuring it out. But there was choosing to share his work with the people. And I'm like, I want to be serious with this podcast. I've said it over time and time again. I want to be serious. I want to be serious. And I'm like, well, this is going to be different. Oh, are you really sure? Yeah, I'm sure. This is going to be different. What if I fail not showing up? I'll talk about failing not showing up. Yeah, is that something that you wished to write but you did not write? You talk about that and you keep diagnosing yourself until, oh well, I shouldn't use the word diagnose, but you keep thinking out loud until you figure out what is wrong and then solve it and then get the results that you want. But most importantly, it is a process. And with all processes, they work on you. This is a process that I know will work on me too. What I mean is, there are projects you take on, at the end of the project, you come out a different man completely. And even if the project doesn't amount to anything, like Let's say, for example, you're working on a project, with a context where you're building a project for a context, and in that context, you could win a certain amount of money. But let's say you, after the end of the contest, it's so, I wouldn't want to say challenging, but it's a tedious project, a project that really pulls a lot from you and reveals the potentials that you never knew you had. At the end of the day, you don't get to win the contest. You don't get the money, but you come out with a different sense of what is possible for you as a writer, as an artist. Yeah. I have visions, but ultimately, none of those things can happen if I don't give time to it. Yeah, I'm looking around, I'm thinking, and I'm asking myself, the seeds that you want to flourish, to turn into a big tree, to produce fruits, these are the goals. They're kind of useless. You need to give time. And I mean, for me, time is more like it's like a portion of my life, because isn't that what we measure our life with in terms of, like, is 85 years, is it 6 years? So it's a lifetime. Isn't that what we measure with it? It's a portion, and if I'm not willing to give a portion of my life, is it really important to me? And I look around and I'm asking myself, well, but the other things I give my time to, they're not that important. Like, if I was to say, okay, now, young man, you're going to live so and so number of years, okay? This is your life. It's this, it's this big bowl, yeah. It contains the ingredients. Who do you want to cut for? Like, okay, more like, let's say your life was a meal. My life was a meal. And like, okay, this big bowl of food is what your life is, your whole entire life is, okay? Um, Take notes that you can cut and give to people who you want to give, and you're like, okay, this is my entire life. I'm like, nah, nah, I'm not gonna spend 2 hours doing that stuff on YouTube, on TikTok. No, 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 no. I'm not going to do that. No, I spend that 1 hour writing instead. Well, it's a different perspective. It's a different mode of thinking that changes completely. And when we start to think like that, I think we become more intentional with our decisions. Well, last week I wrote a couple of 50-word stories, and the goal is to edit those 50-word stories and send them to literary magazines. If I get to make a couple of dollars, I will be able to see if I can pay for feedback. Well, one of the experiments I'm thinking of doing is send my work for free feedback and send it for paid feedback, and then like pay for different amount for the same piece of work for feedback on it, and try to compare the kind of feedback I get and see if there is any sense that from the feedback. Because and like, feedback, I really want to know if there's a pattern. So if I was to get feedback from 10 different persons that are completely different, they don't really know anything about me. It's not like the same place or working in the same thing, from different magazines, different editors, and on the same piece of work. So it's more like the experiment has something, an element that's common to all of them. I want to see this feedback, looking at all this feedback from the same piece of work. Is there any pattern, or is every editor just speaking his own mind? Like, yeah. This one just say, oh, I don't like stories. Is it a matter of personal preference, or is it something that they all see that I just cannot see? I need to see what I do not know. Yeah. And my name is Oyemechi Nwankonam, and you can call me Mechi. It has been nice talking to you. It has been nice having you on this journey. It has been nice having you listen to me. It has been nice being here. And I know, as much as I have said in the past that I make a commitment, I believe this will be different, because genuinely I want to show up, because genuinely I know it's time. I do not want to die with regret for not showing up, for not creating that which mattered to me. And you can always send your voice messages to buildwriting.com/speak, and I would get to respond to them on the podcast. Happy new month, and until next time, keep writing.